Okay, and welcome back. So we're going to find the equation of a line given a point and the area of a triangle. So here I've illustrated what we're going to work with. And the complete question is find the equation of the line that goes through the point 2, 1, where the origin, which is right here, 0, 0, and the x and y intercepts, which are right here, here's the y-intercept, here's the x-intercept, are the vertices of a right triangle with an area of 4 units. Okay, so I pretty much have drawn out what the description has given me. Now what we need to do is we need to figure out the equation of this particular line, and we have a point on it. All we need is a slope. So let's imagine that we had the slope. We would end up using this particular equation here. Y minus y1 is equal to m times the quantity x minus x1. Okay, well, we can plug in the 2, 1 into here, but we still need the slope, and that's really not going to do much for us because first of all we need to relate this area and the slope itself somehow. So the slope of the line is equal to the slope of the parts of the line. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is start labeling the x and start labeling this y with something we do know. Well, we do know that this particular point lies on the x-axis where the y is equal to 0. And we do know that this particular point lies on the y-axis where the x is equal to 0. Now all we got to do is figure out what that x is and what that y is. Well, we're all familiar with this particular equation, right? Y equal mx plus b. What we could do is find out what the intercept is. Of course we're not going to have a number, but we can do it in terms of the variables that we have. Okay, so let's say, for instance, we plug in a 0 for the x, which will give us the y, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So what we're going to do is use this equation, and we're going to say if x is equal to 0, that means our y is equal to, well, let's see, m times 0 plus b, y is equal to b. Okay. Well, at least we found out what this is. So that's b. Okay, so now what we want to do is figure out what this x is. What we could do is make the y equal to 0. So again, we're going to use the same thing and just say, well, if y is equal to 0, then that would be 0 is equal to mx plus b. Subtract b from both ends, and that's negative b equal mx. Then divide by m, and you'll get negative b over m is equal to x. Okay, so this is going to be negative b over m. Okay, so now I have my 2 points. I've got negative b over m comma 0 for this point here, and I've got 0 comma b for this particular point right here. Well, the other thing I can do now is I can create an equation for the area of a triangle. So here is the area for a triangle. Area equal 1/2 times base times height. Okay, but my b and my h are actually the x and the y, right? And my x is actually negative b over m, and my y is actually the b. So I can actually write this as area is equal to 1/2 times x and y. Well, I've actually already figured out what x and y is equal to. Y is equal to b, and x is actually equal to negative b over m. I also know that the area is equal to 4. So I'll go ahead and replace the area with 4 is equal to 1/2. Now my x is negative b over m, so that's going to be negative b over m, and my y is equal to b, so I'll just go to put a b here. Okay, so I can multiply everything by 2 on both sides, so that way I get an 8 on the left and the 1/2 gets canceled out. So I'll get 8 is equal to negative b times b will be negative b squared over m. Okay, so I do have this equation here. I'm not sure exactly what I can do with it right now, but it involves a b and it involves an m. Well, if I look at this right, and that has to do with the area. Now, I want to look at this particular line here and see if I can involve maybe the b and the m somehow in this particular point. Okay, since these 3 points are all collinear, that means the slopes are the same, as I've mentioned before. So this slope here would be the same, okay, as this slope over here. Alright, I just labeled that just to show, but I'm going to get rid of those m's there so we're not confused with stuff. Okay, so let's take a look at these 2 points over here. Okay, because if I figure out what the slope is of these 2 points here, it looks like it's just going to involve a b. I'm looking at these 2 points over here, and if I use the slope equation, it looks like it's going to involve b and m at the same time. Now, with that said, I also notice that I have 8 equal negative b squared over m. Well, if these 2 points produce a slope of m equals something with a b, then I can make this m equal something with a b. So in that case, just looking at these over here gave me an idea. What I can say is I can switch the m and the 8, basically multiply by m on both sides, and then divide by 8 on both sides, and you'll get m is equal to negative b squared over 8. Okay, so then let me look at these 2 particular points here and use a slope equation, which is going to be the one that we all know of, which is m equal y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what we can do is plug in what we have for these 2 points. So y2 is going to be 1 minus b over x2 minus x1 is going to be 2 minus 0. So that's going to be equal to m equal 1 minus b over 2. So since they're both equal to m, I can make both equations. I can make this equation here, and I make this equation here equal to each other. 1 minus b over 2 is equal to negative b squared over 8. And we can cross multiply, so we get negative 2b squared is equal to 8 times the quantity 1 minus b. So what we can do is we can distribute here our 8, so we get negative 2b squared is equal to 8 minus 8b. So we can add 2b squared to both sides, which gives us a 0 on the left. And we have 2b squared minus 8b plus 8. Okay, we can factor out a 2 on the right, which gives us 0 is equal to 2b squared minus 4b plus 4. And we can divide by 2 on both sides, which makes the 2 drop out. And that's 0 is equal to b minus 2, b minus 2. That's equal to b minus 2 quantity squared. Square root property gives us b minus 2. And we can add 2 to both sides, and we'll get b is equal to 2. Okay, now what we can do is we can plug that b into here, right here, to get this slope, m equal negative b squared over 8. So let me go ahead and plug that, m equal negative b squared over 8. So m is equal to negative 2 squared, negative 2 quantity squared over 8. So m is equal to negative 4 over 8. So m is equal to negative 1/2. Okay, so now I have my slope, m equal to negative 1/2. Well, now we can just go ahead and plug that slope into this m here, plug in this 2, 1 into my x1 and y1 in this equation here, and just go ahead and finish off. So let me move this over here. So let me write that equation again. Y minus y1 is equal to m times the quantity x minus x1. And I know that my m is equal to negative 1/2, and my point is actually the point 2, 1. So now we just plug everything in. So y minus y1, which is going to be 1, is equal to negative 1/2 times the quantity x minus 2. Okay, and that's y minus 1 is equal to negative 1/2 times x is negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times negative 2, double negative cancels to positive. 2 over 2 is actually just 1. And we're going to add 1 to both sides, which gives us negative 1/2 x plus 2. And that is the equation of the line that goes through that particular point with the slope of negative 1/2. Okay, so basically, to reiterate what we did, we had to involve 2 equations that involved m and b. So let's go back to the drawing board over here. Okay, so the first one that we got was basically figuring out the slope for this particular line segment right here. And the reason why we did that one was because it involved only the b. So we got m equal, well, it involved m and b, but I'm just saying we isolated the m and we were able to write the m in terms of b. Then we noticed that this equation, 8 equal negative b squared over m, we were able to isolate the m, and it also involved the b, which means that when we made them equal to each other, that's what made it possible to do this equation, because we ended up getting a nice little quadratic equation here, which gave us a 2, and we were able to plug that back into this m equal negative b squared over 8, and that gave us our slope m equal negative 1/2, which made it possible to be able to get this final equation here. And you can go ahead for fun and figure out the area just to prove that the area is equal to 4. I'm not going to do it now, but okay. So anyway, I hope my explanation helped, and good luck with your homework and tests in the future, and thank you for watching.